Hi, welcome back. My name is Michelle and you're watching Michelle's Life. It has been quite a while since I filmed a video. Honestly, the ending of this year has just been a little harder than I anticipated, with my husband being gone and my mother's death anniversary. I'm not sure how you would title that, but the anniversary of my mother's death is fastly approaching, and just the holidays without my own family. It sounds wrong. I'm currently living with my in-laws, if you've been following my channel for a while, and that's really great. And they're really sweet, and you know, they've taken me in as one of their own. But there's always this void I'm going to feel from not having my own mother and father, or even my own brother who lives in Wisconsin and is my only remaining, true family member here with me. So it's just, I've just been having a really hard time with that, and I need a hug every once in a while from someone who will love you unconditionally. And yeah, that's my husband, but he's currently deployed, and so it's just been a little rough. So I do tend to read and escape in my reading. I don't necessarily know if I read for escapism purposes, but I have not been able to focus long enough on the written word in order to absorb it. So I haven't really read much. If you saw last month's wrap up, I read 2 books and they were phenomenal books. Both were 5 stars, and that was Persepolis and The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And I absolutely love those books. This month I have also only read 2 books, so I'm going to tell you what those 2 books are now. The 2 books that I read this month are Far From You by Tess Sharpe. I was interested in this book because I was approached by Josh from Literary Gladiators. He does this series of guest creators, I guess, on his channel, and each month in 2017 he's going to be having a different theme, and I think it's July or June is the LGBTQIA plus month, and he asked me to contribute during that month, and so I'm really looking forward to it. So I wanted to do the LGBTQIA plus video where you recommend 1 book for each of the letters, and you have to find a main character, not a side character, who openly identifies as one of the letters in the spectrum. So I realized that my reading history lacked bi characters, so I reached out on Twitter and several people gave me recommendations. So I read Far From You by Tess Sharpe, and that is the first piece of literature that I have personally read so far that features a bi main character, and it was really, really refreshing to read. I really anticipate reading more books from a bi character's perspective. It was really well written. I think I wound up giving it about a 3.5 star out of 5, but it read almost kind of like a murder mystery. So at the beginning of the book, our main character, who I can't remember her name right now, her girlfriend is murdered and she's knocked out and she is sent to rehab. She is a recovering pain pill addict, so she's a recovering drug addict, and at the murder scene, prescription drugs were planted on her, so her parents sent her back to rehab because they didn't believe that she was still clean. So while she's in rehab, she's rehashing all of the events and trying to figure out exactly what happened that led up to her girlfriend's death. It's not really her girlfriend, it's her best friend, but her love interest, I guess. Where the bisexual aspect comes in is she's also partially in love with her dead friend's brother. So the whole book kind of goes back and forth between flashbacks from 6 months ago when she started with the painkillers, and then to the present where she's trying to figure out the murder, and then to the past when, her budding relationship was forming with her childhood best friend. And it was really, really good. It definitely made you keep flipping the pages. I think that this was a debut novel by Tess Sharpe, So it definitely had some of those moments where you were pulled out of the story. But I really look forward to reading more by this author, and I definitely recommend picking this book up if you're interested in YA murder mystery type stories and you are interested in reading a story from a bi character's main perspective. And then the second book that I read, I was really excited to start. I requested it through my Overdrive app from my library, and they purchased it, and then my friend Jody texted me and her library purchased it, so we started our buddy read immediately. Unfortunately, it took us 2 weeks to read the book because it wasn't as good as I was anticipating. And that book is A Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthurst. This book was released this year. I'm pretty sure it actually came out in December or late November. I'm not positive. It is an FF fantasy where the princess is destined to marry a prince in order to like kind of serve both kingdoms, and instead she falls in love with the prince's sister. So I was sold on that alone. But for the first half of this book, I couldn't help compare the story and a lot of the different plot elements to The Girl of Fire and Thorns. I mean, it's pretty similar. The title's pretty similar, so every time I went to tell someone of Fire and Stars, I would say A Fire and Thorns. And the same setup is set up in Girl of Fire and Thorns. You have our princess who is destined to marry a king she doesn't necessarily love, or a princess who is destined to marry a prince to help out both kingdoms. She doesn't necessarily love him, but it's something that she has to do. You know, she looks up to her sister, but, you know, unfortunately she is the younger one or whatever, so she has to be married off and she can't stay in her kingdom. And then of course she's also the chosen one who has these super abilities. So in Girl of Fire and Thorns we have the belly button jewel gemstone that gives her godlike abilities. And then in this she has different almost like elemental powers that she tries to hide, and in Girl of Fire and Thorns she hides her godstone as well. So there were a lot of just overlapping comparisons in the very beginning that made it harder for me to push through. The thing that sold me on there I go. The thing that sold me on A Fire and Stars is the female-female romance. And let me tell you, it is completely worth the rest of the book just for the romance. It is a slow burn romance. It is not an insta-love romance. Audrey Coulthurst has this ability to capture the stages of love, and just you get to watch this beautiful relationship develop through, you know, like misunderstanding to like interest and attention and confusion and, you know, hurt and you know, just the sharing of feelings and the emotional attachment that you feel to someone before you even get into a relationship with them, before anything is exchanged, and you just absolutely fall in love with both of these girls. And it was really beautiful to read and experience, and I definitely look forward to more of her books. Maybe not so much in the fantasy department. I didn't really like a lot of the fantasy elements in this book. They were kind of rough. And also, I'm not really a horse enthusiast. If you are, you may like some of the horse aspects that were in this book. I just felt like they were kind of drafty at times. You know, it was just a lot about horse maintenance that I don't necessarily need to know about. But that's not necessarily, you know, a flaw of the book. It's just something that I personally wasn't interested in. So if you like a slow burn romance and you're really looking for your next FF ship, jump on board this book because it was really good. I did wind up giving it also a 3.5-star review, but it was worth the read. It just took me a lot longer to get through than I had anticipated. So that's my catch up. Again, I'm not really reading too much. I have been pretty absent lately and I do apologize. Just I needed to take a moment for personal stuff. That's really it. thank you all so much for continuing to watch my videos even though I haven't put them up you know, regularly lately, and thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you. It's the friends that I made on here that really have gotten me through a lot of the hard times in the past year, and two of my friends pushed me to make more videos today, and those beautiful women are Kayla and Sylvia. So thank you ladies for rebuilding my self-esteem today and getting me to push forward and make a video. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much again, and I hope you all have a wonderful new year. See you guys next time. Bye.